It's a strange profession. GameDec. You're neither a player nor a detective.
Hello everyone and welcome back. Today I'd like to review GameDec. This is a game that caught my eye based on its promise that the game continuously adapts to your decisions and never judges. I'm someone who's attracted to all forms of choice in games, and one that allows you such narrative freedom is rare. So of course I was interested. GameDec is a game set in the future where virtual reality is a commonplace. People plug their bodies into high-tech couches that allow them to not only interact with virtual spaces, but also feel those virtual spaces. This has led to virtual multiplayer games where you can be anything but also experience anything. However, as you might expect, increased interactivity has led to the darker side of humanity manifesting itself within those virtual spaces. This is where game detectives, GameDecs for short, come in. The technically savvy investigators who are able to look into the activities of trolls, crackers, and other people engaging in nefarious activities in online spaces. So yes, the internet is just as trash in the future. You play the role of a freelancing GameDec.
This is my story. What's yours?
Mechanically, GameDec is an isometric adventure game. As you walk around, you'll see prompts to highlight interactable objects or people. Your primary way of doing that is via a dialogue type interface. Your character gains skill points in 4 categories through the choices in these dialogues. If you're a hothead, you'll gain skill points in decisiveness. If you're cool-headed, you'll increase your analytical skill. If you're clever, it'll be reflected in your creativity. And if you're empathetic, your sociability will improve. These skill points can be spent on gaining professions. Do you choose to be a natural entertainer? Then you can unlock the infotainer profession and become the equivalent of a YouTuber in the game. So you too can tell people to subscribe and smash that like button. Professions are divided into several trees. If you go down the infotainer tree, you'll become a master of manipulating people in the world via your combination of fame and fast talk. Alternatively, you can choose to specialize in medical skills, hacking, or the darker, roguish side. Acquiring different professions unlocks dialogue options that either allow you to gain information you might not otherwise have, or influence people to help you. This is important because not every clue you see or are told about is true or even accurate, so it helps to have the specialized knowledge to make your own observations. There's also many ways in which you can obtain clues, though professions offer a shortcut. These clues will be used during cases to come to conclusions. Intermediate conclusions will be built on to come to a final conclusion in the case. If you don't have the right skills, you won't be able to find all the clues. But even if you do, you, the player, will still have to make a deduction. Quest objectives will change based on whatever deduction you make, regardless of the correctness of that deduction. And the game does allow you to make the wrong decision. It's rare for games to allow you to fail, and I'd commend GameDec for not only allowing failure, but requiring the player to make deductions in situations where the clues might be unreliable, because real life situations where all the pieces fall neatly into place are rare. I'll avoid going too deep into the specifics of missions, because as I mentioned before, GameDec is a game about coming to your own conclusions, and giving away details would spoil the fun for anybody who might be interested in playing it. But in order to illustrate how all the mechanics I mentioned come together, I'll walk through the first part of the first mission. When you first wake up, you'll be given a chance to explore your house. The initial world building part will take some time to get used to, but it's best not to focus on that at first. You can always review the information later on in the codex, and things will make more sense as you play the game, so don't be put off if the learning curve seems a little steep at first. As you go through your apartment, you'll see news bulletins about esports. Get familiar with the virtual couch you used to get online, and take a look at your ships and void stars. You know it's fiction when Star Citizen is out. We get to respond to our last case, and how we respond gives us point in the corresponding skill. By being kind, we get a point in empathy. Also waiting for you is your first case. He's clearly in a hurry. But before you go to meet him, let's pick our first profession. We'll choose to be the futuristic equivalent of a YouTuber. That gives us the ability to do some basic fast talk on NPCs, and some expertise on online related things. As soon as you're left alone, you've got a choice. Do you look around, or do you go to his office immediately? The first choice allows you to gauge the client. You get to find out that he's using real gold on his portraits. And being a YouTuber means you know about computing chairs. Basically, this client is the real deal. The downside of looking around is that the client was kept waiting, and he doesn't like being kept waiting, meaning you're immediately in his doghouse. The game will take account of your past decisions and your relationships with NPCs, which is a very nice little touch. Haggis will give you the spiel, and it turns out that his teenage son's been online for 4 days and isn't responsive. He wants you to investigate what's happening. From that point, you can start looking at Fredo. The gear is the best money can buy, which reinforces the other clues we found in the lobby. It also seems that Fredo's rather excited by whatever he's doing online. Even today, porn is a significant portion of online traffic, so it shouldn't be surprising that teenage boys in the future will be looking to get the rocks off. He also has a sticky substance that will later confirm to be cheap champagne, because we're a streamer and well versed in this kind of debauchery. I wish that was the same in real life. Our relationship with Haggis, slightly negative in this case, will also influence how he reacts to us. It'll come to light that Fredo wasn't online by himself. His buddy Timmy has some messages talk about going to an adult virtual world. They also give us clues about the relationship between Fredo and Timmy. That's the first clue. In order to help Fredo, we'll need to know where he is and why he can't log out. You can make a decision at any time, but obviously it's too early for us to come to any conclusions. Keep in mind that professions give you extra choices. Not all of them should be taken though, players still want to apply some wisdom. In this case, we've ticked off Haggis even more with our snide attitude. The information we've found so far is useful when it comes to speaking to Timmy about what happened. This takes part in the conversation minigame. We have to choose the right options in order to gain his trust and reveal to us what they've been up to, or we can scare him into cooperating. Timmy's demeanor lets us know that he's a shy type, and he's currently shaken, so even if you didn't find the messages, you can determine that being empathetic will probably be the best approach. Being observant pays off. We can also gain his trust by talking about games and showing off our streaming skills. The first clue we can get is that Fredo spent big on skins. That's a concept that should be familiar if you know about multiplayer games and loot boxes. The second is that Fredo is currently in Twisted and Perverted, a bondage-based virtual world. So yes, Fredo was just being a typical teenage boy and getting into porn that he shouldn't. We can also look at the other lady, and connecting to her directly allows us to work out that she's being prevented from logging off. You can try and rescue the lady in a minigame. You'll have to make the right choices in order to succeed. But either way, you know that Fredo's being held online against his will. But all this investigation has given us a lot of clues. If we take a look at the current deduction, we can see that there's some potential conclusions we can make based on our current knowledge. There's some clues that are misleading, like the reference to Paradise Beach. But the majority of clues point to Fredo being in an adult virtual world called Twisted and Perverted. In many cases, finding most of the clues will point you to a clear choice, but the game will still allow you to make the wrong decision. You still have to think. In this case, our clues point to Twisted and Perverted, so let's choose that. Asking Haggis to access his computer and using our YouTube skills to convince him is another way we could have gained the information about the purchase of the skins and accessing Twisted and Perverted. There's multiple ways to get to the clues you need, so with persistence, you should be able to find the right information. We can also confront Honey Bunny with his son's actions. Do you keep his secret or leverage it? It's very likely that the choice here will have future impact. The only thing left to do is to log into the virtual world to look for Fredo. These worlds have their own rules and logic that you have to follow. You'll meet virtual constructs, trolls, and get to peel back the fabric of these worlds to manipulate them. The case is far from over. So far we've only made a single deduction, but as you can see, investigations involve you putting together observations and acting on them to get to more definitive clues, then putting these clues together into a final conclusion. As you interact with the world and its characters, you'll gain skill points based on how you choose to interact, and use those points to gain further professions. But in turn, these characters will have their own opinions of us based on how we act towards them, and this will influence our own behavior. All of this is predetermined within the game, of course. Every clue you find, every action, is available because it was designed to be. GameDec being a third-person adventure game means that the player isn't going to look around a room and discover hidden items through observation, or work out how to use physics to get past obstacles. All your investigation and clue finding will be done by the dialogue system. But within the limitations of the isometric game format, GameDec does a marvelous job in making sure that your actions are taken into account, and you have a wide variety of both good and bad choices that you can use to express yourself. GameDec is primarily dialogue driven. You're not going to be enmeshed in fast-paced action, or get to explore complex open worlds, though it has to be said that the visuals of the game are quite appealing. What it focuses on, and does very well, is narrative choice. It asks the player to take in a variety of information and make decisions based on that. It guides you by clues, but gives you the choice of making the wrong decision, and allows you to continue on with the story based on that. One engaging aspect of the game is that it draws from features present in today's internet and multiplayer games, and extrapolates that into the future. It'll have extra appeal to those who can recognize these references. An example of this is a case involving a gold farming operation, where people play games in order to obtain valuables in games, in order to sell them for real life money. That's exactly what happens in real life too, and it lends the game an air of plausibility. Overall, GameDec represents an extension to the adventure game format, and features its own innovations on the genre. It's a game I'd recommend for those who enjoy being rewarded for being observant, and appreciate a variety of different ways to resolve problems, because at least several playthroughs will be required in order to see all the dialogue and choices that the various professions open up.